Hello and welcome. My name's Vicki Haspels and I'm the Conscious Mystic. This week we're doing the weekly forecast and I'm pre-recording it on the day so that I can play it as a video and I can join in the conversation as we go. So let's begin. Now each week I pull 6 cards from my deck, the Mythic Tarot, and I give you some guidance for myself as well. And we see how the week is going to play out according to the cards. This is for week commencing January 31st, 2022. And so let's begin. Now, please, if you feel free, join in the conversation and I will be there answering questions or chit-chatting with you as well in the comments. I just thought it might be the easiest way to connect with you guys. So let's begin. I'm now going to choose 6 cards from my deck. This is probably the most riveting part of the whole thing. I have shuffled the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so from that, it'll be a surprise for me too. Just make sure I've got 6 cards. 1, 2, 3. Cool. Okay, so let's begin. So here we are. We're going to start with where we're at. So this is our conscious selves. This is what we're going to be made aware of, or we are made aware of. And we know this. Sometimes we like to deny this part of ourselves, or we actually know this is going on. So this week we are experiencing Tower energy. Tower energy is really interesting. Now you can look at the destruction and it's a little bit the violence of the Tower. The Tower can be extremely, it's where things are just out of your control. They can't be picked up. It's pretty much I always find that the Tower comes to my life when I have exhausted all other avenues of working something out or heading down a particular path. And when I surrender, and sometimes when I don't surrender, the Tower energy comes in and pretty much washes away all the things that I've actually been battling with, thinking that I can fix, thinking that I can do something with it, or that I can, like rescue something. The Tower just comes and washes it all away. And the Tower comes in without any warning, and it presents itself sometimes as like people leaving our lives, like big upheavals in life. Now, the Tower doesn't have to come in with such force as well, if you like. It can come in little waves as well. But just be reminded that anything this week that you feel is out of your control, for myself included, that we feel is out of our control, that's Tower energy in play, letting us know that when it's out of our control, you can sit back and let the Tower wash it away. And generally what's left are the things that we can manage, that we can control, and they're the things that are solid. So the Tower just washes all those things away that do not serve us, do not are not stable, and we're actually really wasting energy on them. So it's doing us a favor. So our soul self, what is our soul self doing to help us? I suppose it boosts the energy to help us alleviate, understand, or even actually move it along and make it happen quicker. So this is our guide energy, or soul energy, this subconscious part of us that's working in the background to help us actually move and shake and bring it like that greater knowledge or that greater good energy with it. So we have the Death card. It's interesting that the Death and the Tower come together. In the old Lenormand or the old Titania deck, the Tower and the Death together can sometimes mean sickness or illness. So the Death card in this instance means that when the Tower energy is in play, the Death card is pretty much going to lay us flat. It's going to say, right, we're not going to give you any energy. There's no momentum. There's not even any creative energy to like fix it or try and minimize the destruction of the Tower. So it's going to be an interesting time. So I guess, guys, if you're finding this happening in your life this week, then the best suggestion I can have is to just sit back and put your attention to the things that you have control over. And even only use the energy that's available, because the Death card is there. If you can't force yourself, we can't force ourselves when the Death card is in play either. So pretty much our guidance is actually holding us back, not hands behind back, but taking away a lot of motivation. So, you know, it's going to be a lot of self-care time. The Death card for me always represents limbo. One door is shut, another door is yet to be opened. So we're sort of in the waiting room, waiting for that to happen. So it's actually a perfect card to have. If you find yourself sort of in limbo and not really sure what to do, then you just sit back and do some fun things in the meantime. Do fun things. It doesn't have to go anywhere or be anything. It's just about doing something that like to occupy your time. So now we're going to look at the card of challenges or a little bit of fear. So this is the stuff where our head can get involved, and these are the things that we're telling us, oh, why is this happening? And we try and construct a story around it, because this is our own internal fear that is we're allowing it to come up, and we are going to, like, it reveals itself to us as something that probably sits in the background and we can make up stories about. And I'll explain what that means. But we have the Two of Pentacles. So the fear here is that we are going to lose a lot of our, I suppose, skills or a lot of time. We're going to worry about maybe even status or how the world sees us. And so be mindful that while we're going through this period of cleansing and clearing and in limbo, or in that in-between space, that sense of who we are, our status, what we're going to lose, or, you know, how people are going to see us, is only of our own making. So it reveals to us what we think about ourselves, what we value as moving forward, what we think of ourselves in regards to status. So we get an opportunity in this space to reconsider who we actually are, rather than what we're trying to present to the world. So, and then at the end of the day, of course, when that happens, we can say, you know what, a lot of self-acceptance comes along with that. We can just disregard, and again, whatever energy we're trying to give to something to try and prop something up, the Tower is washing away, and the Death card is actually zapping all the energy, trying to make something of it. So just like basically jump on your little life raft, or your one of those little donut thingies, and just ride it out. Okay, so now the next card we're going to have a look at is our action. How are we going to react? This will be interesting. We've got the Star card. Lovely. So our action, we're not going to fall into a pit. We're not going to fall into any despair. Our action is to look on the bright side. We're going to look at the good that's coming out of this, which is exactly the perfect way to view the Tower, the Death card, and especially how we look at our status. We're going to look and act and go beyond what's actually in front of us and say, you know what? I can actually feel, probably a feeling, right? I can feel that everything is going to be okay. The Star card represents hope without any substance. So we can actually feel and know that everything is going to be okay without having to see the evidence. So the next card is our future. Where's this all heading? Oh, look at this, sun. So from that hope, from that like understanding that everything is really is going to be, where we deep down we connect with that part that says everything is going to be fine. Our future means that the future is rosy. The sun represents definite goals, definite paths. So everything that gets washed away, all those little fears that we face, and when we give energy to hope and know that everything is going to be fine because it's dipping into our feelings, that opens up the pathway, the sun pathway, where those opportunities are actually laid in front of us. The opportunities, or the even the assets or the things that we need to step into it, are actually there. They're not going to be figments. They're not things that we have to gather together. We can see an absolute definite pathway about how do we get to that future. That's so cool. The sun is probably one of the most positive cards in the deck. So our future this week, and it may not show up this week, it may show up the next week or the week after, but when we follow that out, the sun is the outcome. That's where we're headed, guaranteed. So what does that mean for our spiritual self? What does it mean for our soul? What is our karmic contract, or our understanding of our spiritual self? Well, the Two of Wands. So in a way, the Two of Wands represents that part of ourselves. If you can see, He's coming out of the cave of learning, because this is a teacher, and stepping out with knowledge. So the Two of Wands represents in our soul self, we are taking hold of all the elements of this week, which looks like it's going to be quite a large week, because a lot of major arcana cards there. It's a big life shift or a big soul shift. That means our soul self is actually taking the lessons that we've learned, taking the faith that we've strengthened inside of ourselves and saying, you know what, I actually have everything I need. I have faith in myself, and I have faith in my connection to that bigger picture, or that soul part of myself, and we get to put it into practice. The Two of Wands represents our courage. It's not so much about being brave. Brave means we step into something more, fool energy, where we step into the unknown. The Two of Wands is courage, where we know what we're stepping into and we do it anyway, and we do it fearlessly, because we have learned. We have learned from the lessons of this week. So our soul gets to soar and put into practice those things that we've learned. And with the Two of Wands, it is momentum, it is moving forward, and it is also success. So that means we are so confident in what we've learned and how far we've come, that we are willing to take a risk, to step out and actually put it into practice. So that's really, really so cool. So amazing. I'm so looking forward to this week, because I can tell you, January, which has been my birthday month, has been a little bit not the most fabulous. And so a lot of people have been saying to me, I've heard it from lots of different quarters, that actually February 1st is our beginning of the year. And I know it's Chinese New Year, February 1st, and so that might actually have some of the energies actually wading into that as well. Or, wading into that as well. So let's look at February being the beginning, or the launch part of our year, and these new beginnings. And I can see by looking at those cards, I'm actually personally excited about what's coming up, because I love the energy of lots of major arcanas. Now, just as a side note, before I do wind up, major arcanas don't mean that great big huge things are happening. Oftentimes they're quite subtle, the messages and the shifts that happen. So when we recognize that things are shifting and changing, the major arcana energy we can use is that we go with it. No fighting against the tide. Well, the Tower doesn't allow us to fight against the tide anyway, but the Death card allows us to maintain our energy for the Two of Wands spiritual shift, or spiritual awakening, for that momentum to take place, and lots of wonderful beginnings around that. And of course, 2 is about choice as well, or the duality, opportunity. Anyway, I'm going to leave you there with that. I could talk about this for ages. That is the weekly forecast for week commencing January 31st, 2022. My name's Vicki Haspels, the Conscious Mystic. Thank you for joining me, and see you next week. Mwah. Much love. See you guys next week, with love from me. Mwah.